Oh my gosh, there are so many buyers out there who are truly wanting to buy a home and they're just not in a position, they're not mortgage ready. Maybe they just don't have the credit score requirement, or maybe they had a recent event like a bankruptcy, something like that. And so they do get very attracted to rent to own programs out there. And a lot of these individual investors and landlords out there that are doing these rent to own programs, what they do is they're going to require a large option deposit up front, anywhere from $10,000 to 10 to 15% of the purchase price. Well, the thing is, if you as the tenant never get yourself to a position where you can actually qualify for that mortgage to buy the home, then you're going to be out the money. And also, the other thing that most investors and landlords do that offer this rent to own is they supposedly make a portion of your rent go towards the purchase. And so therefore they're elevating your monthly rent. So not only are you out an option deposit, you're also spending all of this extra money on rent in hopes of actually buying the home. And maybe it'll happen, but in a lot of cases, and I've been doing lease options and rent to owns for over 6 years now. So I've heard a lot of horror stories, so to speak, from people saying how they were basically scammed out of their money. And a lot of it is they just simply don't understand the intricacies involved in the contracts and the implications as to what could possibly happen in the event that they're not able to buy that home. Like, a much better way to go, if you truly are looking for a legitimate rent to own or a lease option, work with a very large, reputable company. One of them is one of the companies that I represent, the parent company, which is Blackstone, which is the largest private equity firm in the nation. I represent one of their sister companies called Home Partners. And basically their model is different and to be quite frank, quite superior. So basically what they're going to do is get you pre-qualified just to rent, not for a specific home, but just pre-qualified in general. Qualifications are much easier than getting qualified for a traditional mortgage, whether it be FHA, VA, conventional, whatever it is. So they get you pre-qualified. The tenant gets to pick out the home they want to rent for the next 1 to 5 years. The rent is locked in for a period of 5 years minimum. So you're going to know exactly what your rent payment is going to be year over year. It does go up a little bit year over year, a little over 3% year over year. So it's nice to have that reassurance to where you're locked in. Conversely, you will also know upfront what your right to purchase or your option price is going to be year over year. You don't need to wait a year or two or till the end of 5 years to actually exercise your option. Get this, you can actually pull the trigger anytime after you move in. Once you start renting that home, you can decide, hey, you love the home, you love the neighborhood, the neighbors are awesome, you want to stay there forever. You can put in your notification of your intent to purchase the home literally anytime after you move in. You have up until the end of year 5 to exercise your option. But guess what? Let's say at the end of that year 5, just you weren't able to get your credit together, the down payment, whatever it is that you needed to get together. There's no obligation. There's no penalty for not buying the home. You can continue to rent it as long as you want. But if you decide not to, if you decide to move away to a different house or rent another house, you get your security deposit back. Depending on what state you're in, it could be anywhere from a 1 month to a 2 month security deposit. Here in Arizona, where I live, it's a 1.5 month security deposit. So as an example, if your rent is $2,000, your security would be $3,000 a month. Now, I get asked the question all the time, does any of that rent go towards the purchase? And the answer is no. And the reasons are because, number one, the rents are market rate rents. They're not super elevated. Therefore, none of the rent goes towards your purchase. And because there is no obligation and no penalty, they make it super easy and flexible for you to actually, decide if you want to rent for a while or if you want to exercise your option. You really do have the best of both worlds. And right now in this particular market, if you are truly trying to buy a home, especially with interest rates, a couple of points higher than they were just 3 or 4 short months ago, this gives you the ability to get into your dream home now, have the respective company, Home Partners or Pathway, Divvy, whichever one that we end up working with you with, they're going to pay cash for the home. They're going to get it, anywhere from $20 to $50,000 cheaper than a normal conventional or financed buyer would be able to get the home financed for. So at the end of the day, when you're actually ready to buy the home, you can wait for interest rates to go back down, whatever the case may be, save up for that down payment. By the time you go to buy the home, it's going to be essentially almost the same price as it would have been had you tried to buy it now. The only thing is, if the market decides to, go down, nobody foresees it crashing. But if it continues to go down, let's say the home is worth $30,000 less than what your option price is, there's no obligation. You can walk away, get your deposit back. On the flip side, if the market continues to go up, which is projected to go back up during the first quarter next year, let's say the home is worth $50,000 more than what your option price is, guess what? You're still locked in at that option price. Even though the home is worth here, you're locked in down here. So all of that equity is yours just simply by renting. So guys, if you are interested in getting into a legitimate rent to own lease option, please do your due diligence. Talk to an expert such as myself, Jalen Manser with the J Group. I would love to chat with you and see how we can best get you into your dream home with the lease with the right to purchase. Take care, everyone. Okay, your stream will stop immediately. You will no longer be live.